my name is Erin Holland, and I am a junior environmental science major at Tuskegee University. And so today I'm going to be talking about the variability of arsenic in Escambia and Santa Rosa County, Florida. So what is arsenic? Arsenic is a natural element, but it is also a highly toxic metalloid and is a known carcinogen that can be ingested or inhaled. And some of the usage of arsenic includes pesticides in leukemia treatment and wood preservation. So most people, when you think about arsenic, you can think that hundreds and many years ago, people think of like arsenic poison, which was like a common way of people to like kill their spouses, but also think about like rat poisoning uses a lot of arsenic as well. But arsenic can be a contaminant in our environment, and those can be due to like agricultural practices, like I previously stated, like can be found in some pesticides, but also a formerly USDA protocol required cattle shipped from the south to north to use cattle dipping vats, which basically a solution was mixed together of different chemicals, which included arsenic to dip cattle to kill ticks. Also, it can be produced by like factories and mine, and industry can pollute the environment further of arsenic. So when you're exposed to arsenic, some of the symptoms you can experience could include the numbness or tingling of legs, feet, hands, so like your different parts of your body, also vomiting, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. But as you can look at these symptoms, a lot of these are common symptoms for many other things. So maybe like food poisoning can also cause you to vomit or have diarrhea, and you wouldn't know. And also, since we're typically exposed to arsenic at low levels, it wouldn't be something to think, oh, maybe I was exposed to arsenic. But long-term health effects that can come from being exposed to arsenic include hyperpigmentation, Blackfoot disease, and in severe cases, it can lead to death. Excuse me. Chronic arsenic exposure can come from food, water, or the environment in general. Like I stated in the previous slide, through the environment, arsenic can be found in soil and dust, so just being outdoors can be exposing you to arsenic, as well as the water you drink may contain some arsenic in it, as well as the food that you eat. And so biomarkers, these are chemically induced alterations in cellular or biochemical components that are measurable in a sample. And so basically that just means it's something on our body that can be tested looking for some type of chemical in it. And so for arsenic exposure, some of the biomarkers include hair, nails, urine, and blood. However, arsenic in the body, when you're exposed at low dosage, it has a half-life of roughly 10 hours. So within a 24 time period, arsenic can be fully excreted from the body via urine or like circulating through our blood system and like ending its life cycle. However, hair and nails have keratin in them, and arsenic binds to keratin. So these are good indicators of long-term exposure to arsenic. However, toenails are the best option to test for arsenic, because toenails, typically you're wearing shoes or you have on socks and they're covered if you're outdoors. They may be exposed to some water if you're like taking a shower, maybe if you visit a beach. But hair and nails are constantly being exposed to outside elements, including like just walking outdoors. So if we were to walk outside right now, in addition to like washing your hair and washing your hands, because some hand soaps also contain arsenic, as well as some shampoos. We know that arsenic exposure at low levels we believe that it can be harmful, but there is not research to address this issue yet. Arsenic can be found in many of our foods that we eat. I know the one most people have heard of are apples, and we know that apples can contain arsenic, as well as some studies have been done to show that arsenic can be found in apple juice as well, and like applesauce and other apple products. But here we just have a food pyramid showing other food sources that can contain arsenic, such as shellfish, fruits, vegetables, rice. Arsenic in seafood. Arsenic can be found a lot in seafood because fish and shellfish, they constantly live in water, and so they can accumulate their arsenic. Crops, I skipped a point. Crops, they can absorb arsenic from the soil and the water because like many of the other nutrients that they need, they just absorb it. They can't distinguish between what it is. And also cooking food in arsenic contaminated water can increase the level of arsenic found in them. That's why rice is one that can be found with a lot of arsenic because it takes a lot of water to grow rice, and additionally you need rice to cook it. So our problem is that arsenic has been introduced in the environment various ways. Some is natural, some is agriculturally over a period of time in Escambia and Santa Rosa, Florida. And we want to know if this is affecting the residents, residential and environmental health of the residents in these two counties. And we need to know how their daily activities are being affected by arsenic. So our research question was, what is the variability of arsenic concentration in residents of Santa Rosa and Escambia counties, Florida? And we were trying to determine if there was a relationship between arsenic concentrations in soil and arsenic found in the residents. And we hypothesized that the subjects residing in areas with high arsenic concentrations in the soil would also have high levels of arsenic in them, which would be reflected by their toenail samples. And those who frequently eat rice or shellfish may have elevated levels of arsenic as well. And so for our study, we were focused in Escambia and Santa Rosa County, Florida. And so we were looking to recruit 30 residents, and they would be given a food questionnaire, residential history form, and toenail collection kit, which I will go into details about. And the toenail samples would be assessed for arsenic, but we were able to collect 36 soil samples. And they're indicated on the map. And those are Santa Rosa and Escambia County. For the toenail sampling, the residents just had to be over the age of 18 and have resided in the county for at least 1 year. And they would be given a survey that included demographics questions as well as dietary questions with 2 food frequency questionnaires, which they would just mark how often they ate whatever food is listed. So they may say, I eat crab once a week, or I eat rice once a day, and so on. Also a residential history form to tell where they've lived in the past 5 years, in case one person may have higher levels of arsenic in them than another. So maybe I lived in Arizona for a year, 2 years ago, versus someone who's lived in Escambia County for the previous 5 years. And so the directions included with the toenail sampling kit would just ask the people participating in the study to clip as much of their toenails as possible, and further directions will be given in there as far as like who to contact if they had any questions, what they should do with their samples, and so on. For the soil sampling, a map was created to identify potentially high concentration areas of arsenic, and so I believe we had 55 soil samples, but in the time period we were able to collect 36 samples, which was a great accomplishment because many of the areas, they were like on dirt roads, so it took us a minute to get to them. And so we just used 2 soil augers to take the samples, and we mixed them in a bucket, and we placed them in a bag that was labeled, and we used EpiCollect 5 to collect our data we'll collect information about the sample size. And so this is just the one of our entries, and so it just has the sample ID number, point ID is the number it was on the map, who collected it, the county, the coordinates, and so on. For our expected results was that some of the soil samples will have higher arsenic levels than others. So like I previously stated, agriculturally cattle dipping vats were used. I think they were banned in like the 50s, but we know that we're pretty sure that the arsenic still has a presence in the soil today. So like areas around the cattle dipping vat, we expect to have significantly higher arsenic levels, as well as for the residents who live in the areas where the arsenic is higher, for their toenail results to indicate that they also have high levels as well. And that when it's compared to the food frequency tables, the residents who frequently consume rice or shellfish will have higher levels of arsenic than those who do not. Further directions are to complete the recruiting part of the toenail sampling and getting that done. Unfortunately, when we made our trip to Florida, the IRB had not been approved, so we were unable to do that portion. And then we hope to get those samples tested for arsenic and the soil samples as well, and then and then to compare the results between the surveys and the toenail samples and residential history forms. These are my references. Are there any questions?